Alrighty, well, welcome to a recorded readers workshop. It won't take too much of your time, but I am going to talk to you about some important things that you can do as you're reading. So what I'm thinking is when you want to get to know someone really well, you can't just think, she did this thing or she did that thing. In our case, Opal stood up to the manager and claimed a strange dog as her own. That would be being a reporter or just reporting the facts. So you have to think, what does this tell me about Opal, right? So today I want to teach you that once readers have met a new character, they draw on their first observations to come up with an idea about the character. They study the things that the character says and does, and then they think, what does this tell me about the character? They don't just report back what the character said and did. So you're thinking, what does it tell you about the character? So in this book, we already noticed some things about how Opal talks, right? We notice that she speaks it with a Southern accent, but it's funny, right, that she calls her dad the preacher, not dad. And she gave Winn-Dixie a funny name. Winn-Dixie is the name of a grocery store. So she seems like she's kind of creative in how she names things. And she also, what does this tell us about her? So she has these kind of strange names. So maybe it means that Opal is thinking differently than other people, or that she's unique and interesting. So we kind of figured that out just by paying attention to how she talks. So now let's pay attention to how she acts. Well, we know she stepped up in a really big way, right? She claimed Winn-Dixie as her own to save him from the pound, which is a place where dogs go if nobody wants them. And then sometimes they get put to sleep, which is, not a great thing for the dog. So what does this tell us about her? We've already said she's kind, right? She's an animal lover. She's brave and confident. Could we say that she has a really big heart? That's the kind of person she is. So we thought about what she says and what she does, and we figured out what she's like on the inside. We're not just reporting back what she did or said. So let's work on this together. So remember the part when Opal asks the preacher to tell her about her mama. Let's see if we can grow an idea about Opal or the kind of person that she is by noticing what she says and she does. So here's part. Listen as I read. Daddy, I said real quick before I lost my nerve, I've been talking to Winn-Dixie. Is that right? The preacher said. He scratched Winn-Dixie's head. I've been talking to him, and he agreed with me that since I'm 10 years old, you should tell me 10 things about my mama. Just 10 things, that's all. The preacher stopped rubbing Winn-Dixie's head and held real still. I could see him thinking about pulling his head back into his shell. One thing for each year I've been alive, I told him. Please. All right, so here's my idea. The part where Opal speaks up, that took a lot of nerve. Even though she was scared about how the preacher would react, she asks about her mama anyway. And even when the preacher froze, did Opal give up? No. She pressed on and she tried to convince him. So I'm going to stop and jot on my Post-it pad the idea that it's given me about Opal as a person. So I'm going to jot down that she's a bit of a risk taker. And this makes me think that she's brave. Some people would say that's gutsy. Have you ever heard that word? If you're brave, you're gutsy. So do you see how we can study the things a character says and does and then use the observations to start coming up with an idea about what kind of a person the character might be? So now I want you to take the observations and talk to your partner through our Padlet or in Flipgrid. What kind of person is your character in your book? So make sure you talk a little bit about how you came up with your idea. You might want to give an example from your book. So when you share your ideas about your character with a partner, I want you to make sure that your person can understand your ideas. And sometimes it helps to show the person the part of the book that led you to your conclusion. And then your partner needs to look at the part and carefully think, do I agree with this idea, given the evidence from the text, or not? Right? And partners, then you can say, well, but this statement from the book is great, and it really shows what you shows your thinking, or no, I don't really see how that connects. So for example, what if I said to you, my idea is that Opal doesn't really like Winn-Dixie? Oh, I see you woke up just there. She's just using Winn-Dixie to fill a hole in her heart, and I have an example in the book. Are you ready? So Opal doesn't really like Winn-Dixie. She's just using Winn-Dixie right now. And here's why I think that. Because when Opal, this is in the book, when Opal was bathing Winn-Dixie, she said, I don't even have any friends because I had to leave them all behind when we moved here from Watley. So I think that that means that Opal doesn't really like Winn-Dixie. She's just using Winn-Dixie because she doesn't have any friends. What do you think? All right. So today on our Padlet, I want you to write something that you think about your character and a sentence that proves what you think is correct. And then we'll all take a look at them and see what we think. All right. So that is it.